A mother's lie brought two brothers to the same Thanksgiving table. What happened next saved their family. November cold pressed against the windows of the Bennett house. Inside, Margaret stood in the dining room at 4:30 in the afternoon, her hands trembling as she folded cloth napkins. She was 62, her hair silver at the temples, her wedding ring loose on fingers that had grown thinner with worry. The table was set for 4. One chair would hold a son who did not know his brother was coming. Another would hold a son who did not know his brother was coming. And between them, 2 parents who had lied to them both. Tom Bennett leaned against the kitchen counter, staring at a photograph pinned to the refrigerator with a football magnet. 2 boys grinning, arms slung around each other's shoulders. 7 and 9 years old in that picture, brothers, inseparable then, strangers now. He closed his eyes and the image burned brighter in the darkness behind his eyelids. 35 years of marriage. 2 sons raised in this house. Scraped knees bandaged. At that kitchen table, report cards celebrated. First dates nervously confessed. College acceptances cheered. And now, this. A family split down the center, like a tree struck by lightning. Tom opened his eyes. The coffee in his mug had gone cold an hour ago. Margaret moved to the window. The oak tree in the front yard stood skeletal against the gray sky. The boys had built a tree house there once. David hammering boards with fierce concentration, while Jake handed up nails one by one, his face serious with the responsibility of it. When had it all gone wrong? The question circled her mind like a vulture. She reached for her phone. The screen glowed cold in her hand as she scrolled to David's number. Her thumb hovered over the call button. Every cell in her body wanted to stop, to not make this call, to not set in motion what could not be undone. But the empty chairs at Thanksgiving tables past had become unbearable. Before pressing the button, Margaret closed her eyes. She whispered a prayer she would prayed every morning for 6 months. Lord, I do not know how to fix this. Show me. Give me wisdom. Give me courage. She took a breath. The idea that came felt both impossible and unmistakably clear. She pressed the button. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Hey, Mom. David's voice came through distant, traffic noise humming behind his words. He was 37 now, living 2 hours away in the city, working in marketing, building a life she only glimpsed through occasional calls. Hi, sweetheart. Her voice caught despite her attempt at steadiness. I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving. Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything neither wanted to say. Is he going to be there? David asked. Something hard and careful had crept into his tone. Margaret closed her eyes. David, he's your brother. Mom, I need to know. Is Jake coming? She heard the tension coiled in his voice, heard the brittleness of it. He is your brother, she repeated softly. He is also someone who thinks the way he thinks, someone who said what he said. David stopped himself. She heard him breathing slowly, deliberately, trying to control something that surged too quickly now. Mom, I cannot sit across from him and pretend everything is fine. I am not asking you to pretend. Margaret's voice broke now, despite her efforts. I am asking you to come home, to be with your family. If he's there, I will not be. The words fell flat and final. I know that is not what you want to hear. but I cannot do it. I cannot sit there and act like nothing happened, like he did not say those things at the barbecue. David, please. I have to go, Mom. Let me know what you decide. The line went dead. Margaret stood holding the phone against her chest, staring at nothing. In the kitchen, Tom had already pulled up Jake's number, his younger son. 34, still living in their hometown, working construction, his hands closed like Tom's own used to be. He pressed call with a sense of dread so heavy it made his chest ache. Dad. Jake's voice boomed through the speaker, too loud, covering something softer underneath. Hey, son. Wanted to check in about Thursday. Jake's laugh came sharp and bitter. Let me guess. David does not want me there. Tom rubbed his face with his free hand. Jake, come on. He is the one who cut me off, Dad. Not the other way around. The anger in Jake's voice rose quickly, defensively. I sent texts. I called. He is the one who decided. I was not worth talking to anymore, just because we do not see eye to eye. Language, Tom said automatically, an old reflex from when the boys were small. Sorry, Jake exhaled heavily, but it is true, is not it? I am still his brother. That used to mean something. That used to mean more than who we voted for, or what we believe about the country, or whatever we disagree about. Tom heard the hurt beneath the anger. Heard the boy who used to follow David everywhere, who looked up to his older brother with uncomplicated adoration. It still means something. Jake, not to him. Jake's voice went quiet, and quiet was worse than anger. If he is coming, tell me now. I will not show up where I am not wanted. This is your home. Is it? Does not feel like it anymore. Jake paused. Look, Dad, I love you and Mom. You know that. But I am not going to be somewhere I am not welcome. If David's coming, just tell me. I will stay away. Make it easy for everyone. Jake, please do not do this. I have to get back to work. Let me know what you decide. Another deadline. Another son unreachable. Tom set the phone on the counter and stared at it as though it might offer answers. Margaret appeared in the doorway, her face telling him everything about her conversation. He will not come if Jake is here, she said. Jake will not come if David makes him feel unwelcome. That they stood looking at each other across the kitchen, where they had shared decades of ordinary meals, ordinary moments. The weight of this pressed down on both of them. Margaret moved to the table and sat heavily. Tom pulled out the chair beside her and took her hand. Her fingers were ice cold. How did we get here? She whispered. How did two boys who shared a room, who built forts together, who talked for hours, become this? Tom knew the answer 6 months ago. The backyard thick with July heat and the smell of burgers on the grill. A conversation about politics that started civil enough, but something shifted. Voices rose. David said something cutting about Jake's beliefs, something dismissive. Jake fired back, something meant to wound. And then it escalated. Words spoken that could not be unsaid. Both sons dug in. Both refused to apologize. Text messages went unanswered. Social media blocked. The silence grew and hardened like scar tissue. We failed them somehow, Tom said quietly. We raised them, and somehow we failed to teach them that family should be stronger than this. Do not. Margaret squeezed his hand. Do not do that to yourself. They are grown men. They made their choices. But family should be stronger. Margaret looked up at the ceiling. Upstairs were the bedrooms where her boys grew up, where she tucked them in at night, where she nursed them through fevers and nightmares and all the small hurts of childhood. She thought of David reading to Jake by flashlight when Jake was afraid of the dark. She thought of Jake defending David on the playground when bigger kids teased him. She thought of all the ordinary love that once flowed so easily between them. "We cannot let this be our Thanksgiving," she said finally, her voice steady now, with sudden resolve. "We cannot let this be our family." Tom looked at her, saw something kindling in her eyes. "What are you thinking? Something risky, something that might make them both furious with us. Tell me." Margaret leaned forward. Her grip on his hands tightened. "We tell David that Jake not come. Work, emergency. We tell Jake that David has other plans. Then we get them both here, both at the same time, and we make them face each other." Tom's stomach dropped. "Margaret, if that backfires, we could lose them both. We are already losing them both." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "At least this way, I have a chance." At least this way, they are in the same room, looking at each other, remembering they are brothers. The kitchen clock ticked in the silence. Outside, darkness crept across the yard. The decision hung between them like something alive and dangerous. Tom thought of his brother Richard, dead, 30 years now, the fight they would had over money, over pride, over nothing that mattered. The reconciliation that never came. The funeral Tom wept not just for loss, but for wasted time. "Okay," he said finally. "Okay, we do it." Margaret pulled him into an embrace. They held each other in the kitchen while the November cold pressed harder against the windows. Two parents about to deceive their sons. Two parents desperate enough to lie because love left them no other choice. Before they called the boys back, Tom and Margaret held hands at the kitchen table. They bowed their heads like they had before every major decision in their marriage. "Father," Tom prayed quietly, "we are about to deceive our sons. We do not know if this is wisdom or foolishness, but we know we cannot watch our family fall apart. Guide us, and whatever happens, help our boys remember they are brothers. Help them remember love is stronger than being right." Margaret squeezed his hand. "Amen." They sat in silence for a moment, drawing strength from a faith that had sustained them through 35 years of marriage. That evening, Margaret called David back. Her voice was carefully neutral when he answered. "Sweetheart, I wanted you to know. Your brother will not be able to make it Thursday. Something came up with work." Silence on the other end stretched so long, she wondered the connection had dropped. "He is not coming?" David asked. She heard it. Relief flooding his voice, followed immediately by guilt. That relief came so quickly. "No, so it will just be us. You, me, Dad, and the turkey." She tried to laugh, but the sound came hollow. Another pause. She imagined him in his apartment, wrestling with feelings he did not want to examine. "Okay, yeah, I will be there. Should I bring anything?" "Just yourself. Thursday, around 2. "I will be there, Mom. And Mom, thank you." The gratitude in his voice cut deeper than anger. She ended the call and sat staring at her reflection in the darkened phone screen. What kind of mother lies to her children? What kind of love requires deception? Tom found her there. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "My turn," he said quietly. He called Jake at afternoon. The lie flowed from his mouth with terrible ease. "Your brother has other plans, Isir. Work thing he cannot get out of. So it will just be us." Jake's response came quick and sharp. "Right, of course. Too busy for us now, Jake. Do not. No, it is fine. Probably easier this way anyway." But Tom heard the disappointment Jake tried to mask with sarcasm. "Come Thursday morning," Tom said. "Help me with the turkey, like old times. Your mother would love that." "Yeah." Jake's voice softened slightly. "Yeah, okay. 9 o'clock? Perfect." When Tom hung up, he found Margaret watching him. "We are terrible people," she whispered. "We are desperate people," he corrected. "There's a difference." Thursday morning arrived. Jake's truck pulled up at 9 sharp. "Dad." Jake's greeting boomed through the house as he came through the back door. He pulled Tom into a hug, strong and brief, the way men and their family embraced. "Good to see you, son. Coffee? Always." They fell into rhythm, father and son, working side by side. Jake made his grandmother's stuffing, the recipe he would learned at her elbow. His hands moved with a surprising delicacy, tearing bread, mixing herbs, tasting and adjusting. Tom watched him and remembered teaching both boys to cook, David serious and precise, Jake enthusiastic and instinctive. "How is work?" Tom asked. "Good. Busy. We are doing that new development over on Meeple." Jake paused, dumped celery into the bowl. "Sarah's pregnant." Tom nearly dropped the basting brush. "What? Jake, when were you planning to tell us?" Jake's face flushed. "Soon. It is still early. Only 8 weeks. Due in April." His expression shifted. "I wanted to tell David. Been thinking about it for weeks, but then I think about calling him, and it just seems pointless. He probably would not even care." "He would care," Tom said quietly. "He would care very much." Jake made a sound in his throat and returned to the stuffing. Tom watched him, saw the hurt his son tried to hide, saw the little boy who worshipped his older brother, who wanted nothing more than David's approval. The morning passed in work and conversation. Margaret joined them around 10. They wrestled the turkey into the oven together and set the timer with satisfaction. The afternoon crawled forward. Margaret positioned herself near the window. At 1:58, a silver sedan pulled into the driveway. At 1:58, a silver sedan pulled into the driveway. David stood on the porch holding wine and a bakery box. His hair was neatly combed, his jacket expensive looking. He looked older than 6 months ago, lines around his eyes that had not been there before. "Hi, Mom." He embraced her, and she held him perhaps too long, breathing in his cologne, memorizing the solid reality of him. "I am so glad you are here," she whispered. "Is it really just us?" he asked, searching her face. She did not answer, could not lie to his face again. Instead, she took his hand and led him inside, her heart hammering so violently she wondered if he could hear it. David followed through the foyer, through the living room, toward the kitchen, where turkey smell filled the house. He talked about traffic, about the pie he brought, about ordinary things. Unsuspecting, he rounded the corner into the kitchen. Time stopped. Jake stood at the stove, ladle in hand, body turned toward the doorway. For one suspended moment, neither brother moved. Their eyes met across the kitchen island. Shock flashed across both faces, then recognition, then betrayal. "What is this?" The words came from both sons simultaneously. David's face hardened. "You lied to me." Jake slammed the ladle on the counter. "You set us up." Both sons turned toward their parents, twin expressions of fury and hurt. Tom stepped forward, hands raised, as if to physically hold them in place. "Wait," he said, his voice carrying a tone sons had not heard since childhood. "Just wait. Woe for what?" David's voice cut sharp. "An explanation for why you manipulated us." "We did not manipulate you," Margaret said, her voice rising. "We asked you to come home for Thanksgiving, both of you. You are the ones who made that impossible." "I made it impossible?" David's laugh came bitter. "I am not the one who said those things at the barbecue." "Do not." Jake's voice overrode his brother's. "Do not you dare put this all on me." They were shouting now, both of them, voices overlapping, accusations flying. Tom saw David moving toward the door, saw Jake tossing the towel onto the counter with violent finality, both preparing to leave, to flee, to maintain the estrangement that had become comfortable in its pain. "Please." Margaret's voice cracked on the word. Margaret. Something in that brokenness cut through the anger. "Please, do not go." Both sons froze, not quite at the door, but not quite staying either. Tears streamed down Margaret's face, unchecked. "Do you know what it is been like? Watching you tear each other apart? Watching this family fall to pieces over politics and pride?" Her voice shook, but grew stronger. "You are brothers. You are our sons, and we are losing you. We are losing both of you." "I do not hate him," David said quietly, but neither looked at the other. Tom moved beside his wife. When he spoke, his voice carried 30 years of regret. "My brother Richard and I had a fight when I was 32. Something stupid about money. We were both too proud to apologize, too stubborn to reach out. We told ourselves we would fix it eventually. Richard died in the car accident 3 months later. I never got to tell him I was sorry, never got to hear him say it either. At the funeral, the pastor read Ephesians 4:26 a.m. Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. I realized Richard and I had let the sun go down on our anger for 3 months, and I would never get it back. The kitchen fell silent, except for the quiet tick of the timer. I lived with that for 30 years, Tom continued, his throat tight. Every holiday, there is an empty chair where Richard should be, and I put it there. My pride, my stubbornness, my certainty that I was right. Do not let pride steal what you cannot get back. The turkey timer went off. Its sharp beep pierced the silence. No one moved. Margaret finally moved, crossing to the oven and silencing it. She opened the door, and the turkey scent flooded the kitchen. That smell of home and tradition and every Thanksgiving that came before this fractured one. She pulled out the bird with steady hands, set it on the counter, and turned back to her sons. Neither had moved. Both suspended between leaving and staying, between anger and something else they could not quite name. Yet, when you were 7, David, Margaret said softly, you taught Jake to ride a bike. Do you remember? He was 5 and terrified of falling. You ran beside him for hours that Saturday, holding the seat, promising you would not let go. And when you finally did, and he kept riding, You were more excited than he was. You jumped up and down, shouting, "As my brother." David's jaw tightened. He said nothing. And Jake? Margaret's eyes moved to her younger son. When you were in 6th grade and those boys bullied David for being in chess club instead of playing football, you got suspended defending him. Came home with a black eye and 3 days suspension. You told us it was worth it. You said nobody talks about my brother that way. Jake's hand fell from the doorknob. You were each other's heroes once, Margaret said. When did you become enemies? The silence felt different now, less hostile, more uncertain. David set the wine carefully on the counter. Jake moved away from the door, not toward the table, but no longer toward leaving. They orbited each other like planets pulled by competing forces, unable to collide, but unable to escape. Just eat with us, Tom said. That is all we are asking. Eat with us. Then, if you want to leave and never speak again, that is your choice. But give us this one meal. The request hung in the air. Jake looked at David. David looked at the floor. Long seconds passed, marked by the settling sounds of the house, the drip of the faucet, a dog barking somewhere down the street. Fine, Jake said finally, the word rough and reluctant. He moved to the sink, washed his hands with deliberate slowness, his back to the room. David nodded once, sharp and minimal. One meal. They carried dishes to the table in loaded silence, passing each other in the kitchen with careful distance, never quite touching, never quite looking directly at one another. Tom carved the turkey with hands steadier than he felt. Margaret arranged serving bowls with shaking fingers. The choreography unfolded with painful awkwardness. Each movement weighted with everything unspoken. They took seats at opposite ends of the table, David and Jake. Tom and Margaret positioned between them, like buffers or mediators, or perhaps hostages. The good china gleamed under the chandelier. The food steamed in its serving dishes, beautiful and abundant, and somehow sad. Margaret reached for Tom's hand on one side, David's on the other. The gesture prompted automatic response. Hands joined around the table, Jake's large and calloused, David's smooth and manicured, both reluctant, both complying. Margaret bowed her head. Her voice trembled, but grew stronger. Dear Lord, we thank you for this food, for this home, for family. We thank you for bringing us together, even when coming together is hard, especially when it is hard. Proverbs 5:17 p.m. says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." Lord, these boys are facing adversity, not from outside, but from their own pride. Help them remember they were born brothers. Help them remember what matters. Help us see each other the way you see us, flawed and stubborn and loved. Help us forgive as we have been forgiven. And help us choose family over being right. In Jesus' name, amen. Tom echoed, amen. The brothers said nothing, but their hands remained joined one moment longer than necessary before pulling away. They filled plates in near silence and began to eat. Tom set down his fork. Both sons looked up warily, bracing. I never told you boys the whole story about Richard, Tom said, eyes fixed on his plate. We fought about money, yes. I lent him $5,000 for a business that failed. He could not pay me back. I was angry because we needed that money. Your mother was pregnant with David, and we were scraping by. He looked up now, meeting first one son's eyes, then the other's. But the real fight was not about money. It was about respect. I told him he was irresponsible. He told me I was self-righteous. We both said we were done. That blood did not obligate us to tolerate someone so different. Jake shifted in his chair. David's fork paused halfway to his mouth. We were both right in the way, Tom continued. He was irresponsible with money. I was self-righteous about it. We saw the world differently, but we were also brothers. We shared childhood, parents, memories. We shared history. And I threw all of that away because being right felt more important than being brothers. Margaret added softly, "After Richard died, I found a letter in Tom's desk. Richard had written it 2 weeks before the accident. Never mailed it. It said, 'I am sorry.' It said, 'I miss you.' It said, 'Being right does not keep you warm at night.'" David set down his fork carefully. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because you are making the same mistake," Tom said. "You are choosing to be right over being brothers. And I am watching it happen again, and I cannot let you make that choice without knowing what it costs." Jake spoke for the first time since sitting down, his voice low and controlled. "Dad, it is not the same. This is not about money. This is about fundamental differences in how we see the world. What we believe is right and wrong." "I know what I said to him," David interrupted, looking at his plate rather than his brother. "At the barbecue, I know it was harsh." The acknowledgement fell into the space between them like a stone into still water, creating ripples neither could see but both could feel. "I said things too," Jake admitted after a long pause. "Things I knew would hurt." They were not looking at each other, these brothers, but they were speaking. That was something more than 6 months had managed. "Why?" Margaret asked gently. "Why did you want to hurt each other?" The question sat heavy. David shifted, jaw working as he searched for words. "Because I was scared," he said finally. "Scared that if he really believed the things he was saying, then I did not know him anymore. And if I did not know him, then maybe he was never who I thought he was." Jake's head came up. Surprise flickered across his face. "And I was angry," David continued, words coming faster now. "Because how could my brother, the person who defended me on the playground, who taught me to change a tire, who always had my back, how could that person support things I think are wrong? How could he be on what I see as the wrong side?" They were looking at each other now, really glad. Tom saw the pain beneath the anger. "No," David admitted quietly, "I could not. I was so sure I was right, and I could not imagine being wrong. And anyone who disagreed had to be either stupid or evil. And since you are not stupid," he stopped, something catching in his throat. "You decided I was evil," Jake finished, his voice hollow. "I decided you were lost, misguided, dangerously wrong." David's hands clenched on the table, "But never evil. I never thought you were evil, Jake. I felt you were my brother who had somehow gotten mixed up in things that scared me." Jake stared at him for a long moment. "I thought the same about you." The admission hung between them, identical and opposite, mirror images of the same fear and the same love tangled together until they were indistinguishable. Margaret spoke into the charged silence. "Do you remember the fort? The blanket fort in the living room?" Both brothers turned to her, confusion breaking through tension. "You built it when you were, what, David, 10? Jake, You were 8. You draped blankets over chairs and used clothespins. You spent the whole weekend in there, had meals in there, slept in there. Made your father and me whisper when we walked past, 'cause it was your secret headquarters. A smile tugged at Jake's mouth, unbidden and quickly suppressed. We had a password, something ridiculous. Thunder nights, David said, and hearing him say it, hearing that shared memory spoken aloud, cracked something in Jake's expression. We thought we were so cool, Jake said. He almost laughed, the sound catching rough in his chest. We were cool, David countered. This time he did look directly at his brother. We were the Thunder Knights. We had the best fort on the block. Until Mom made us take it down because she needed the chairs back. We were so mad at her, they were almost smiling now. Both caught in memory of when the world was simpler and they were on the same side of everything that mattered. The moment stretched and softened, and David's expression shifted, grew serious. I missed you at my promotion ceremony, the one in September. Jake's surprise was genuine. You got promoted? Senior marketing director? It was a big deal. They had a ceremony, speeches. And the entire time I kept thinking you should be here. I kept looking for you in the audience, even though I knew you would not come, even though I never told you about it. David's voice dropped lower. I wanted to tell you. I picked up the phone a dozen times, but I could not figure out how to say, I got promoted, and also, I am sorry, and also, please do not hate me. Jake set down his fork with careful precision. Sarah's pregnant. David's eyes widened. What? Due in April. Found out about 6 weeks ago. Jake's hands curled into fists on the table. You are going to be an uncle, and I did not know how to tell you either, because how do you call someone who thinks you're dangerously wrong and say, hey, I am having a kid, want to be part of their life? David's chair scraped back. For one terrible moment, Margaret thought he was leaving after all, that this was too much, that the wound opened too wide. But David stood and moved around the table. When he reached Jake's chair, he stopped. Stand up, David said, his voice thick. Jake rose slowly, warily. They faced each other across 3 feet of charged space, nearly the same height. Jake broader through the shoulders, David leaner, more angular, both with their father's eyes and their mother's stubborn chin. Congratulations, David said, on the baby. That is incredible. You are going to be a great dad. Congratulations on the promotion, Jake managed. You earned it. You always worked harder than anyone. They stood there, words hanging insufficient between them. Then David extended his hand, formal, stiff, but offered. Jake looked at the hand, at his brother's face. Something in him broke open. Instead of shaking the offered hand, he pulled David into an embrace. It was awkward at first, both stiff and uncertain, arms not quite knowing where to land, bodies held at odd angles. But then, Jake's arms tightened. David's face pressed into his brother's shoulder. They held on to each other, the way drowning men hold onto life rafts. Margaret's hand flew to her mouth. Tears spilled freely. Tom reached for her other hand and squeezed hard. When the brothers finally pulled apart, both their eyes were red. They returned to their seats. But something fundamental had shifted. The chairs carefully positioned at opposite ends now felt absurdly distant. I do not need you to think like me, Jake said, his voice rough with emotion. I just need you to be my brother. I do not need you to change who you are, David echoed. I just need you in my life. They ate then, really ate. The conversation that followed came haltingly, but genuinely. David asked about the pregnancy, when Sarah was due, how she felt, what names they were considering. Jake asked about the new position. They need responsibilities, whether it meant more travel, if he liked his team. They did not talk about politics, did not relitigate old arguments. They simply talked, brother to brother, rebuilding the bridge between them, one careful sentence at a time. The table was filled with stories and laughter, with warmth instead of distance. Margaret and Tom stood in the kitchen doorway, watching their sons, hardly daring to breathe for fear of breaking the spell. David said he should go. Margaret asked him to stay. He looked at Jake, who nodded. All stayed, talking late into the night. When they finally headed upstairs, Margaret heard them pause on the landing. The murmur of their voices said everything. Friday morning came soft and quiet. Margaret woke to find Tom already up, making coffee in the kitchen. They moved around each other with practiced ease, preparing breakfast, not speaking, communicating perfectly through glances and touches, and the comfortable silence of long marriage. Jake appeared first, hair rumpled from sleep, wearing an old college sweatshirt he would found in his closet. He accepted coffee gratefully and helped Tom with the eggs. David came down 20 minutes later. There was a moment, just a moment, when the brothers looked at each other and the uncertainty returned. But then Jake slid the plate of bacon toward David with a gruff, extra crispy, the way you like it. David smiled, really smiled, and sat down beside his brother at the kitchen counter. They ate breakfast together, making plans. Jake mentioned starting the nursery soon. David offered to help paint. The offer hung in the air for a beat before Jake accepted with a nod that meant more than words. They grinned, falling into the old rhythm. Margaret watched through tears. Tom's hand found hers. He could buy embraces on the front porch, lasted longer than they should. Jake's hand clapped David's shoulder twice. I will call you next week, David said, about the baby stuff. I would like that. Two brothers who had been strangers yesterday, not healed completely, but beginning. He climbed into his car. Jake stood on the driveway watching as the silver sedan backed out. Then Jake's truck followed a few minutes later. Margaret and Tom stood on their porch watching both sons drive away. Not together, not yet, but no longer apart either. Inside the house, the dining room table still held remnants of yesterday's meal. 4 plates, 4 napkins, 4 sets of silverware, no empty chairs. Her phone buzzed. A text from David. Made it home safe. Thanks for yesterday, Mom. I know what you did. I am not mad. I am grateful. Another buzz. This one from Jake. Home. Tell Dad his turkey was perfect. And Mom, thank you for not giving up on us. Margaret showed Tom the messages. He read them twice, his eyes getting wet. Then he pulled her close, and they sat together in the quiet house where they would raise 2 sons. We should pray, Tom said softly. They bowed their heads together. Margaret spoke first. Thank you, Father, for answered prayers, for bringing our boys home, for giving us the courage to do what needed doing, even when it was hard. Tom added, for reminding us that you never give up on families, that reconciliation is always possible, that love really can cover a multitude of sins. They sat in the quiet, The empty chair had been filled, not perfectly, not without scars, but filled. Some families are torn apart by division. The Bennett family chose to fight for each other, with courage, with risk, and with faith that God could do what they could not, bring two brothers back together. And He did.